You guys, I figured it out. I found a website finally after quite a bit of searching that has Lily and Miss Liberty in its entirety available online. Couldn't find it on the Lane Library online. Couldn't find it in its entirety on the Google Books site. Couldn't find it through books, so I found it on this free website called Open Library. And that is where I will be reading Lily and Miss Liberty to you. So let's go ahead and share my screen. Right. Now, I don't think I can make it bigger. So this is what we've got. All right. Lily and Miss Liberty, let's skip ahead to where we were. I'm going to start over with chapter 1 so that this isn't so complicated and confusing. So bear with me. Chapter 1, The Present from France. It was almost time for supper. Grandma was feeding baby Charlie, and Mama was cooking cabbage on the big coal-burning stove. After Lily set the table, she went into the parlor, to read the book she had brought from school. Papa was sitting in his favorite armchair reading a magazine. "Look, Lily," he said. "Look at the picture of the French ship that is bringing the Statue of Liberty to New York. It is due here in just a few more days." Lily sat on the arm of Papa's chair and peered at the picture in the magazine. "But where is Miss Liberty?" she asked. "I don't see her." "Below deck, packed in hundreds of boxes," Papa replied. "It will be some time before we can see her. First, we have to build the pedestal for her to stand on." "Mama doesn't like Miss Liberty," Lily said. Mr. Lafferty put down his magazine. "Oh, I'm sure she does." "No, she doesn't," Lily insisted. "She says we shouldn't have to pay for it." "We don't have to pay for the statue, Lily. The statue is a gift from France," Papa said. "We only have to raise enough money to pay for our pedestal." "But she says the pedestal will cost a lot of money. She thinks we should use our money to help feed poor people instead." Mr. Lafferty picked up his magazine again. "Goodness, Lily, why bother your head about all this?" "Our class is raising enough money for the pedestal, and I didn't put anything in again today," Lily said. "I was almost the only one." "Well, well, Lily, that's a problem, isn't it?" "Supper's ready," called Mrs. Lafferty. Lily and Papa went into the kitchen. Lily sat down at the big round table next to Grandma. Mama began dishing out the corned beef and cabbage. Papa took a bite of cabbage. What a good cook you are, Mama." Mrs. Lafferty smiled at her husband. "Lily tells me that her class is raising money for Miss Liberty's pedestal," he said. Can't we think of some way for Lily to earn a little money too?" Mama set her mouth in a straight line. "All the poor people living in this city, no one thinks of raising money to help them." I know, Papa said. "But what a wonderful statue Miss Liberty is. And someday soon she will stand in our harbor to welcome all the immigrants, like ourselves, who have come to America seeking a better life and freedom to enjoy it." "Humph," Mama said. "You talk about freedom, but freedom won't fill an empty stomach." "Sometimes freedom is more important than an empty stomach, Mama." "You don't remember what it feels like to be hungry, Papa." "I remember." Grandma glanced at Lily. "All this talk isn't helping Lily," she said. "How is she going to earn money for Miss Liberty's pedestal?" "Maybe you can help Mrs. Casella in her grocery store," Papa suggested. "Or maybe you could help Otto, the super, sweep the front steps of our apartment building," Grandma said. Papa pushed back his chair and stood up. "That was a good dinner, Mama." He turned to Lily. "Tomorrow is Saturday. I'm sure you will find something to do for Miss Liberty, Lily." After Lily helped Grandma dry the supper dishes, she went outside and sat down on the front steps. Although it was almost 8 o'clock, it had not yet begun to grow dark. Wagons and carriages passed back and forth on the cobblestone street. A peddler walked by, pushing his empty cart. Two boys were playing marbles on the sidewalk next door. Suddenly, she spotted her friend Rachel across the street, pulling a little dog behind her. Lily ran to greet her. "Hi, Rachel. Where did you get the dog?" "Hi, Lily. Olga belongs to Mrs. Walensky. She's going to give me 10 cents if I walk her every night for a week." Rachel looked pleased with herself. "More money for Miss Liberty." "Oh," Lily said. Rachel looked at Lily curiously. "How come you haven't brought in any money yet?" "I had to mind Charlie again yesterday, so I had no time to look for a job," Lily hesitated, before adding. "And besides, my mother doesn't like the Statue of Liberty so much." "She doesn't? Poor you," Rachel exclaimed. "But I love Miss Liberty," Lily said quickly. "And so does Papa." "So do I. And do you know what?" "What?" Lily asked. "I'm French." Lily glared at Rachel. "You are not." "Oh, yes, I am. That's what my mama says. My name is French." "It is not." "Yes, it is. My mama told me so." "Lily is French too." "It is not." "I say it is 100 times," Lily shouted angrily. "And I say it isn't 200 times," Rachel shot back, and she took off down the sidewalk, pulling the dog behind her. Lily crossed the street and ran up the steps into her building. She ran up another flight of stairs to her apartment and bussed into the kitchen. "Why, Lily, what is the matter?" Mrs. Lafferty asked when she saw her. "I have a French name, don't I, Mama?" Lily asked breathlessly. "Lily, you know perfectly well you are named after my older sister, who still lives in Ireland." "But I could be French if I wanted to, couldn't I?" Lily persisted. "Rachel says her name is French, but mine isn't." Mrs. Lafferty gave Lily a hug. "Your name is just as French as hers, Lily. Now get along to bed. Tomorrow is going to be a busy day for you." Lily looked at Mother. "Do you really think I can earn some money for Miss Liberty's pedestal, Mama?" "Yes, Lily, but it won't be easy. There are many people who don't think as much of that statue as you and Papa do." When Lily fell asleep that night, she dreamed of a beautiful lady stopped her carriage in front of her building. "Are you Lily Lafferty?" she asked. "Yes," Lily replied. "Here is something for the pedestal fund." And she handed Lily a whole dollar. Lily couldn't help but notice that the lady wore a crown that looked just like Miss Liberty's. Now, remember when we read The Mighty Miss Malone and, I think it was $15 that I'm already forgetting the characters' names. Jimmy earned at the club per week, and that was the equivalent of about $200 today. So I have a hard time multitasking, sorry. So the Statue of Liberty was built and brought over to the United States in the 1800s. So if I look up how much would $1 be from the 1800s? Let's see here. So this is telling me that $1 from the 1800s would be about $20.50 today. And that's according to officialdata.org inflation values. So I think that's as accurate as we can get. So she's imagining that she earned $20.50 doing some kind of a job for this very fancy lady. We will read chapter 2, 2 Pennies and a Lollipop, and chapter 3 tomorrow on Tuesday. So again, the chapters in this story are short, but I only wanted to start you out with one chapter today because you are also doing some pre-reading questions. So I hope that you enjoyed the first chapter and you're intrigued to find out what will happen with Lily and Miss Liberty. Thanks for joining me, guys. Bye.